Well, before we get started, one of the things that we do is this will not be a snooze fest. So I'll ask questions. This will be very interactive, right? Part of what we want to do is kind of get the feedback from everybody, get tons of engagement. The hour will go by super fast. But like Jamie says, we're talking about mastering the biomed journey. In order to talk about mastering the biomed journey, you have to bring in a master of the biomed journey, right? So my name is Jamie Spragis. Most of y'all know me, AKA the Flukeinator, right? Been with Fluke for about 1.5 years, but I started out my career in 2001. My dad was in the business, right? So he started off in facilities somewhere around late 80s, and then they sent him to school for sterilizer. They sent him to AMSCO, so he did sterilizer, surgical tables, surgical lights. So as a kid, I grew up, he brought this big chamber home one time. I didn't know what it was. I was probably 12 years old. And that's what we did all of our barbecues on, right? Turns out it was a chamber of a sterilizer. So I've been playing around medical equipment since I was about 12 years old. Started my career in Augusta, Georgia. Started out as a technician, very much like most of everybody in the room, right? And I went from technician 1, 2, 3, started out unit director. Unit director 1 as a 1-man account, went from Georgia to Texas, and I was a unit director of a 2-man account, right? I was with Crawford for many, many years. They said, Jamie, in order for you to move up, you have to manage more people, right? So it went to a 2-man shop. A couple years later, I moved to I went to Mississippi, and that's where I started managing Mississippi Baptist. It was a 7-man shop. We grew to about a 12-man. Biomed imaging. There's where I did a lot of learning when it comes to like EOC, a lot of the quality and regulatory. I was the right-hand man of the EOC. You know, just when you're at a hospital that big, your EOC department, probably 30, 35 people, right? So lots of quality and regulatory. From there, I went up to Philips Multi-Vendor in Nashville, Tennessee, is where I live now. And there did several roles. I started out on the implementation team. Probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. Implementation is tough, right? Walking around doing inventory. But one of the things I've learned there is probably the most important thing is your inventory. And then I went to modality management, did a lot of quality and regulatory. Now I'm with Fluke Biomedical. But the true master is this guy right here. Benjamin, take it away, my man. Tell me about yourself.
Thank you, Jamie. And don't discount what Jamie said. He is a master in his own right. And one of the things I'd like to point out is the unique journey that he has gone through, and many of you have gone through or are about ready to start. Yep. So I'm going to tell you my story also, but I want to hear your story that you are about ready to go through or you have gone through yourself, because I'm seeing many faces out here, some with lots of experience and some that are just getting started. But my experience is a little different than Jamie's, but I hear a lot of similarities too. So I started it very differently. So what happened with my story is I started in the military, not in biomed, but communications and security systems. And I got out and joined the Quest Communications. But when I got out of the service, I was very interested in healthcare because my father worked for facilities at Emmanuel Hospital in Portland. Very cool. And he introduced me to the Biomed group. Unfortunately, just getting out of the military, the Biomed said, hey, you have to have a degree to do this. And they showed me a mass spectrometer, and I said, this looks interesting. But there were no schools that taught Biomed. And I was thinking, I have to go get a 4-year degree. I don't want to do this. And so I went and did communications for the phone company. 9/11 happened, and they laid off 25% of the electricians there. And I was like, oh, I might as well go back to school. And so I got my EET degree and then wanted to go into imaging. And I thought the only way into imaging was to be in electronics design and build MRIs and x-rays. And so I was trying to get my way into that. And then I found out that I could go work on them. Okay, but I thought the way I could get on design is I had to get some kind of imaging experience design. So I was designing barcode scanners. Boop.
Nice.
Oh my God, that was boring. So if you go through the self-checkout lanes at like Costco and Fred Meyer's, and you look down and it says data logic, the barcode scanner, I probably designed. Wait, the barcode scanner, not the self-checkout. That thing is atrocious. I did not design the self-checkout, but the barcode scanner. The thing with the laser. Got 2 patents on that. Okay, but because, boop, is not very satisfying.
Yeah.
Friend of mine that also went through the school, worked with GE, said, hey, look, come try Biomed. Within the first week at Providence, I fell in love. I felt like a superhero. People were calling me with problems, says, hey, this isn't this. And I'm like, hey, okay, well, hey, it's plugged in. We got it fixed. First rule of Biomed, is it plugged in?
What's the second rule? Reboot it. That's right. Turn it on, turn it off.
See, which is funny because most of IT thinks is it turn it on, turn it off. IT starts at our second rule. Think about that. So from there, working with Providence and down in Portland, I moved up to University of Washington up here in Seattle. Within 2 years, I became the supervisor. Shortly after that, I started becoming the hiring manager. Took on more roles and more roles, became the database administrator, finally ended up being a system administrator. As the system administrator, though, by taking on more and more, I was doing billing for not just my department, but I was doing it for posters. I was doing classroom services. I spread out and I was like, oh, this is way too much. Because I loved working with the technicians. I loved working with the clinics. But as I got promoted more and more, it was just becoming things that I wasn't that interested in. I loved working with the database. I loved working the numbers. I know that sounds sick. And I loved working with even some of the regulatory stuff. But it got so far out that I wasn't doing stuff that had anything to do with Biomed. And one of the technicians that I hired, here's a 10-year track at North Seattle. And that's something I wanted to do ever since I did my undergrad. And I had 2 of my faculty members tell me, go work in industry. And I love it ever since then. I've been helping people find their career paths here, helping them develop and find their internships, find their first jobs, sometimes find their second jobs. And it has been such a great experience. So I started off as a brand new technician, having Providence hiring me, going, it's okay. You got your customer service skills, you got your electronic skills. We will teach you the medical stuff. And now I'm teaching people the electronics, the medical stuff, and how to communicate and how to find their next job. And now I'm here with my friend Jamie to help you all find and have that conversation with you. We're not going to talk at you, we're going to talk with you. Because this is an exciting and individual journey. Because no one person's journey is the same.
That's right.
So, Jamie.
Thanks, Ben. So one of the things we wanted to ask everybody, what is your job? Just raise your hand. No form here. What is your job? What is the organization that you represent? I'll pick on you just because you're close. Yeah. You sat close to me, so that's okay.
I'm field service technician with Agility.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I go out to Summit Pacific Hospital out in Elma, do their PMs and repairs for them. Lakewood Surgical Center. I just started about a month ago, so I'm still in the process of learning all the stuff that they're throwing at me.
Yeah, and that's part of it. That is part of it. I know this guy.
My name's Richard. I'm with the University of Washington Scientific Instruments. I'm a BMT lead, lead tech in the shop. Been there just now 10 years.
Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else? I don't want to pick on everybody, but raise your hand. I'll pick on if you don't. So, yeah, shoot.
Hey, Jamie Noble, radiology field service specialist. I work at St. Joe's. Been doing it for 27 years at St. Joe's.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay. Quick show of hands. Who's been in the industry for a year or less? Okay, fantastic.
Okay, 3.
Less than 5 years. Okay, less than 10. Over 20. Fantastic. I like how y'all are, with the exception over there. They're all over there. So, no, fantastic. And this is about right. Okay, so, and we'll show some statistics later, but this is a very exciting time to be getting in or just starting the career.
No
so
doubt.
I'm going to say less than 5
No
years.
doubt.
We'll get some statistics. I'll save that for a cliffhanger, but this is a very exciting time to be getting in.
And I want to ask one more person. What's your role, Stephen? Talk to us. And there's a point I want to make. Tell us what you do.
I am a product development manager and R&D at Fluke Biomedical, making new products. I've been doing it 17 years.
Certain companies have certain people that if something happens to them, we're in real trouble. That's that guy. He's going to be buried in the basement somewhere at Fluke Biomedical. But I wanted him to say that you can do anything that the field is open with right now. Like when I started in 2001, any trade show would have been like 2 booths. There'd been 2 tables. There'd have been a couple of us standing in front of us, right? There may have been a parts person, right? The industry has grown so much, and like Ben says, it's wide open. From an engineer at Fluke Biomedical to field service to Biomed to anybody in manufacturing, OEMs. I know we saw some of our guys at Stryker. Those guys, you know, we real good relationship with them. So the OEM, ISOs, I mean, you name it, right? Sales. I'm a sales engineer. There's frontline sales. I mean, there is so many opportunities that the people that raised their hand that 1 year, I mean, here's what I'll tell you. The biomed industry is yours. You just have to take it.
One of the things I'd like to point out is since I started in 2019, when I started, I told students that were interested in going to imaging. That could have been ultrasound, MRI, or X-ray. You were looking for a unicorn if you wanted to start your career to going into imaging. There was no way. It was 1 in 1,000. I mean, it was so impossible to go into imaging directly out of school. Now it's about 10%, if not more. There's such an opportunity to define what you want to do. Just going into the opportunity. Some opportunities are a little easier. If you want to go in the hospital, I can guarantee you a job coming out of school. If you want to do imaging, you're going to do some legwork, but you can do it. It's not impossible. You're not out there finding the unicorns anymore. You might be finding a zebra.
That's right.
So
the next question I want to ask everybody is how did you get into the biomed field? And true story, how I got into it is my dad was in the facilities. And he says, Jamie, you need to get into biomed because they drive nicer cars. Seriously. And I was like, okay. So I showed up one day to where he was, and he was right. Like the facility dudes, my dad got in his little Nissan Isuzu truck, and I'll never forget, like this cool cat was driving by in this brand new Firebird. I was like, man, he is right. You know, so that's for me, it was just that, you know, coincidence, right? They drive nicer cars and then off to the races. So again, how did you guys pick this profession, and what led you to go down to get your education, to get your school, and to chase the medical industry?
So I'm one of the unicorns, so to speak, where I actually didn't get any formal training. I cut my teeth on car stereos and home electrics.
Yeah.
I was a cardiac therapist at our hospital, St. Joseph in Bellingham, actually, for almost 10 years, and I got in with our Biomed crew. Watched them walking through with equipment, spectrometers and multimeters, and I just used to pick their brains all the time. They all just said, dude, you need to get into this.
Oh, no kidding.
You shouldn't be pushing paperwork and treating patients. You should be doing this. So they snuck me in the back door of the TechNation truck down here doing the Kaiser stuff for about 2.5 years. Got my OJT and just got into the field. So it's completely random, no education formally. I'm one of those unicorns that TechNation always says they don't exist anymore.
That's fantastic, but they do, right? And one of the things that we're hearing is because the industry is starving for biomeds. I heard a guy with GE tell me, truck driving today and biomed tomorrow, and that's how we have to get people into the industry. Who else? Steve, you're a long timer. How did you get into the industry, and what led you to get in here?
I was actually in radio broadcasting and sports broadcasting, and I didn't see a future in that for me, even though I have the face for radio. But so I was looking through a student catalog. I went through Spokane Community College, their technical program, and I read about biomedical equipment technology, and it said you had to be good at math, and I figured new technology, healthcare is going to be around forever, and I'm pretty good at math, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Awesome. Who else? What about some of our 1 year guys? What led you to get into?
Well, I'm still a student.
Awesome.
I grew up liking biomed, medical. I stick my arm in cow's lungs when I took high school classes. Loved medicine, wanted to fix people.
Okay.
I figured I'm a lot better at fixing cars and fixing tech, and if I can't fix people, I can do both.
Okay.
So,
Very cool.
multi-care, always heard about it.
So you said there was a little bit of path like through your high school. I guess y'all had like some curriculum where it introduced some medical concepts, or okay.
Biomed for 2 years. It was more on the forensic side of things, I would probably say, more
Yeah.
There was a little bit of that tech side. And
Yeah.
I saw those big Da Vinci robots.
Yeah.
Feeling the great thing. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Closest thing to space age that I can get.
Yeah.
So,
And how long, you been in school for how long?
semester now.
Oh, nice. So how long is y'all's curriculum? Is it 4 years or 2?
It's 2 months.
Okay.
It's 6 months, year and a half. It's an accelerated.
So you have a year and 3/4, right? You're close. Who else? For me, the story of the how did you get into biomed, right? We're not lawyers, we're not firemen, right? We're not, everybody thinks about a hospital, you think about a nurse or a doctor, right? But, how did you get into biomed? Anybody? Shoot.
17 years as a nursing assistant at a hospital, and being one of the males that's like, can you fix, the nurses come, can you fix this? Can you fix this? Sometimes I'd see what was like a frayed cord or something. And so then I'd send in a ticket to Biomed, and then I'd watch them and just kind of fell in love, and remember doing computer courses back when I was in high school. And I was like, I needed a career change. So I was like, that's where I want to go. So I was picking their brains all the time.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You're new, right? What drew you to biomed? Both of y'all. Yeah.
I mean, this ended up just combining a lot of, I guess, my past interests, and like I studied science before, a little interest in IT, wanted to do something with my hands.
Yeah.
So my mom was a nurse and my dad worked in facilities.
Ah, there you go. We drive nicer cars in them. Just remember that. Anybody else? Yeah.
I got burnt out at my last career in the automotive industry. It's a lot.
Okay.
A lot of hours and stuff. And so I actually quit my job and started helping my dad working for his business, and he does just like home repairs and that kind of stuff. He's actually retired. This is his retirement job.
Nice.
And so I think that you boys have been hiding all the tools and the fun stuff from us girls.
Of course we have. Of course we have.
I'm here to take some back. Cool.
Awesome.
We'll share. Absolutely,
Yeah.
we'll share. And I love that.
And not that it's about, gender or anything, but what I'm seeing is I am seeing a lot more females getting into the industry, right? Normal people kind of go the nursing route. I just got back from Asia, and no, nursing's tough. Nursing's tough. Nobody wants to be a nurse. Go biomed first. No, but I love a nurse, right? That's our job is to make them happy, right? They carry the stress all day long. But anyway, I just got back from Asia, and the demographic there for all the people that I was talking to is anywhere from like 22, maybe a little 22, 23 to about 30, all female, like 95% female. And Ben, I asked the question, why? Most of them were like pre-med and just realized, dealing with patients are kind of nasty, right? All the poo and the stinky stuff, and they were like, but I wanted to be in the healthcare field, and biomed is not so tedious where it's not something that I can't do. So the entire industry, I mean, almost across Southeast Asia, is young female with a 4-year degree. So in my opinion, the future is truly bright there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, how many of you have had a history in hospitality and have switched over? Because I've seen that time and time again, both as healthcare and a hiring manager. Thank you. Thank you so much. As a hiring manager, that's one of the toughest skills I can't train as a faculty member. I can train you the technical skills. I can train you the math, like Steve said.
Yep.
It's the customer service skills. We have, small group communications and stuff. And when I was an undergrad, I listened to a couple gentlemen. I know how to talk good. And I'm like, oh my God, you need this class. So it's those skills from hospitality of dealing with an angry customer, especially if you're in the restaurant industry, working in the bar. People had a little, I'm talking about. Dealing with someone that's angry in that condition, if you can work with that, you can deal with an upset physician that the equipment's not working in a critical environment. Having those skills is amazing, because us texting isn't teaching the face-to-face skills, isn't teaching those public speaking skills. Being able to deal with those high stress environments when something's not working and walking up and go, I got this. How can I help you? I can fix this. Making those eye contacts, making that and go, I got this.
That's right.
I am here for you. Says so much. Coming from that hospitality.
Yep.
Some of my favorite employees. Yes.
If I may, I didn't come from hospitality. You guys ready for this?
Yes.
I was in elementary school.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Biomed's way easier than that.
Okay, you
Biomed's
know,
way easier
hospitality, kids.
Yeah.
There's just a level of
Yeah.
unrational.
Yeah.
Hospitality on steroids.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not even steroids. I mean, kind of some Yeah, you win.
So
So yes, you got it.
what made you make the career change from?
What made me come to Biomed, really engineering, but the school I was at was a private school, and they were like, well, we need you to, Missy, you need to go back and do certification. I made you myself, there was a time where certified teachers were not necessarily required in private schools, and now things are changing. I was like, I don't know, go back and get my certification, go through 4 years of school, and then come back and do the same thing, basically for $2 more, right? So I said, no, I'm gonna go and pursue my love of math and my biology and what are those fields out there. So I did a lot of digging, went for computer science first, with all due respect to IT, not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I love programming, but not my, I'm not gonna be helping people doing that from my lens. So I went into pharmacy, and then I did that, didn't like it, then came to biomedical engineering. And as a single mom, I needed a placeholder.
Yeah.
So I was coming out of teaching, so I went to Biomed and said, let me do this internship. The rest is history. I was hooked.
I gotta say,
Unbelievable.
I love how your face is just lighting up. You
Yeah.
seem so passionate, so excited about it. And this is what I see so often with people coming through. They come through the electronics program, they start the biomed program, and they get out on their internship. And I see that sparkle that I see in your face right now, just that like, I love this. Yeah, we have bad days, we have hard days, but when we figure that out, it's like a superhero. So thank you for what you do.
I want to touch on, so what are we talking about? Mastering the biomed journey. So Ben and I are supposed to be sharing tips and tricks, tools of the trade. I want to hit on this customer service. For all of my first year, 5-year, I had an employee one time. His name was Beardo. Great technician. In the Army, CBET, great technician. A little introverted. Most biomeds, geeky little dudes, come up from the floor, look down at your feet when you're talking. We get it, right? That's who we are. But I used to always make my guys do rounds. And he used to say, boss, you always want me to go and ask them about their pancakes and da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, yeah, you need to ask them something, right? And he never felt comfortable. And that was his quote. You want me to go ask them about their pancakes? About a year went by. He comes in my office, knocks on the door. He says, hey, boss, I want to talk to you for a minute. He goes, I applied. Now, this is my best technician, right? He goes, I applied for an imaging job. I was kind of shocked. I was like, okay. And I says, did you get the job? He says, I didn't. And I said, okay, let's reverse this. Why? He put his head down and he goes, I failed all the customer service questions that they asked me. And he goes, I guess I should have been asking them about their pancakes. And I looked at him like, dude, I am your manager, but as a manager, my job is to help you succeed. My job is to polish you. My job is to give you all the tools where I failed at. I wanted to stop and talk about customer service because I think it is almost a secondhand, most important thing that you will do in the biomed industry. Nurses have one hell of a job. They're dealing with patients and families and pushy doctors. And when that stuff breaks, the last thing you need to do is give them lip. You walk up to them just like Ben walked up to me and smile and say, how can I help you? That will project your career so far. It's the little things. Think about it in your own life, right? You go to the ATM, you're trying to get something, problem after problem after problem, and the last thing you want is some smart mouth little dude come up to you. You want some sort of support. That's what a nurse expects from you. Not wants, not, she expects expects that from Biomed because her job is hard enough. The doctors and the nurses take care of the patients, and the biomeds take care of the equipment. Never forget that.
So I use the same analogy. So we are the primary care for the equipment, and the doctors, the nurses, the medical assistants are the family of that equipment, because they're the ones that deal with that equipment day in and day out. It's when that equipment isn't working, they feel it the most. So you got a family member, wife, husband, child, whatever. If everything's fine, your life's fine. But when they aren't feeling well, you feel it. And you want that to get back to 100% as quick as possible. You don't want a physician to go, well, what did you do? Why are they feeling? You didn't do this. You're not feeding them. You didn't give them enough water. You don't want to hear that from your physician. You want your physician to go, we got this.
Yep.
I can handle this. I will take care of it. We're going to have it back in no time. You want something clear. You want to be sure that they know what they're doing. Or if they're like, I'm not sure, but I'm going to figure it out. So it's okay to say you don't know, but have the confidence that you're going to figure it out, because you got a team behind you too. So if you don't know, please don't lie, because we're all smart people. You've worked with people like, okay, I'm like, you don't know. you don't know. That does not inspire confidence.
That's right.
Some of the best things I can do when I'm teaching, especially for the entry-level DC class, someone will be like, what's this? And I'll be like, I have no idea. And I see the students go, what? Oh, okay, teacher just said he didn't know. But I find out that, or I make it extra credit.
That's right.
I'm like, I don't know, you figure it out. I'll give you extra credit for that.
So while we continue on, this right here is a real important question. How many people have been at the same facility for the duration of their career?
Don't answer if you've only been there for a year.
That's right. How long?
8 days, it'll be 27 years.
Outstanding. So you've been at your facility for 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
13 total.
Yeah.
Biomed, but same facility for 60.
Okay.
Okay.
At the facility. Wow.
Can y'all raise your hand again? 3, 4. Sorry, I missed you. 4. So how long have you been there? 8 years? Okay, nice. So 4 of you have been there for more than 5 years. Take a minute. Look around. Look how many people are in the room. Only 4 of you have been there for more than 8. Back in the day, it would have been 4 of you not raising your hand.
You're exactly right.
Okay. So changing your position is not unexpected on average every 5 years. Okay. There's still that stigma of I can't change my career. I can't change my position. Okay. But now, I'm going to spitball and say we got about 30, 40 people here. So 10% has been at the same position for more than 5 years. But there's still that stigma, that's still that expectation that you have to be at the same position for 20, 30 years.
So I remember my first biomed job. Got my cup of coffee, got my safety analyzer, and I got a pile of pillow speakers about that tall. I had to solder little wires and 9-volt batteries. And I remember, I was excited to get in this field, right? And I'll never forget, I asked this other dude, I was like, hey man, how long have you been here? He said, man, I've been here 10 years. And I was like, all right. Yeah, I'm a biomed too. And I was thinking, holy crap, I got to do this for 10 years before I be a 2. And I'll be honest with you guys, that didn't satisfy me. Do I think there is some major benefit of being at a facility for that long? Absolutely. The legacy knowledge is there. Do not trap yourself by doing pillow speakers for 10 years. You are worth way more than that. To be honest with you, I left that first place after 1 year. Did I like it? Sure. I just realized the path of promotion there was just extremely slow. And I'm just not an extremely slow guy. And so I started my journey. I went to the next place. And what's crazy is I've only worked for 3 organizations, but within that organization, I have done job after job after job. Hey, Sprad, you want to go to Mississippi to run an account? Sure. I'll never forget my wife look at me. She had just found a new job. And I was like, hey, babe. And we had moved to Texas. I'd been about 3 years. Hey, babe, I got an opportunity in Mississippi. She's like, no, we're not moving. I just got a job. No way. I showed her the salary. She said, I'll start packing now. I doubled my salary. I doubled my salary going from a 2-man shop to a 7-man shop. And then I increased my salary by 40%, growing that shop from a 7-man to a 12-man. I've always had this in my career. I look at the BMET 3 and I go, I can do that. I look at the manager, Ben, I was like, I can do that. I look at the regional manager and say, I can do that. I look at the VP and he go, I can do that. I just don't want to. You can do anything you want. Do not be complacent in your career. I think it's great. It doesn't necessarily got to mean changing companies and doing that journey, right? But push yourself every 3 years to do something different, because Biomed can be a little monotonous at the same place doing the same thing. You don't grow. Pump is a pump is a pump is a pump, right? So that's my advice. Ben, what do you think about that?
So I like what you're saying, and you said a couple different things. So I want to come back to your first question, but you made a very good comment. I don't want to do that. Don't chase the money for money's sake. You can get more money just doing the same job, making unilateral moves from one company to another company.
Yep.
And you can get something like a 10% raise from going one place to another place. But don't just change for the money. You can also make more money, even staying within the same company, by chasing what you love. And this is the other thing, the other point you were making, which I love, is when I was the supervisor, I was really interested in hiring technicians. So I helped hiring as a supervisor and ultimately became the hiring manager. But I also took a course on databases at North Seattle, and this is before I even thought about teaching. Extra $10,000 a year. One college course. I loved math. Was interested in the databases. I was doing Excel sheets and I was managing it. They paid me an extra $10,000 a year because IT did not want to deal with the database for the Biomed shop because, oh my God, all the compliance stuff that came with the databases of a Biomed shop. IT did not want to deal with the compliance. None of the biomeds knew how to deal with the database. And I was like, oh, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
$10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be the database administration. And I got an office across the hall to do it. You remember. So extra $10,000 just to do, because I took one class, because I was following a passion.
Yep.
And that ultimately let me, to be the whole system administrator for all of the databases for the whole division. But one class, one passion, one thing, following that allowed you to do that. So don't just follow the money to be, oh, I'll do this, because you can do that. Because most of the times it's the cost of living from year to year or a little bit more. But unilateral moves from one place to another can be very profitable. Don't get me wrong. But pay attention to your progression of what, are you just working on the same equipment? Are you getting the opportunity to increase your skill sets? Now, as a faculty member, I do not get paid what I would as a manager. I also get summers off.
Oh man, that would be so nice.
Is that worth something?
Absolutely.
Okay. I get 2 to 3 weeks off for Christmas. Is that worth something?
Absolutely.
Be aware of your priorities.
Yep.
Okay. There is a value to those things. You know, are you enjoying the people you're working with? Do you enjoy your manager? If you're with a good team, that's worth something. So don't just be chasing the dollar. You know, don't just be looking like, oh, I can make more money here, more money here. Be aware. Now, this is where being part of groups like the Oregon Biomed Association, the Washington State Biomed Association, the California Biomed Association, be aware of what the groups are saying and what the other offices are looking for. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to go over here, but ooh, that shop? So going from team to team and office to office, that is also, be aware of where you're going. So there's great opportunities to move. So don't feel like you have to stay with the company, but also don't leave the company just for the dollar. Yeah.
If I might add, something we're doing in my team, we've been talking a lot about mindset, fixed mindset, growth mindset.
Love it.
Of course, we know growth mindset sets you in the direction where you kind of build comfort with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is you learn new things, expose yourself. And we're always talking in our teams about the handshake. You know, it's not just the system or your leadership, because management has a ton of things to do. It's also your desire, go and talk to your supervisor and manager. That would be my advice for people who are coming in Biomed is don't expect it, but also build it for yourself. And I know I had to do that a lot as a Biomed too. Just go in, to your manager's office and say, I was thinking about this stuff, and I want to run this by you. And you never know, like you're saying, the database thing. Because if you chase the money doesn't always come back to you. But if you chase the skills,
that's right,
and your mindset, then money will chase you.
Oh yeah, that's right. And those skills stay with you. When you put that skill on that resume, it doesn't go away.
I completely agree with everything you said, so thank you for bringing that. Money is a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Money is a consequence of what you do. It might not be immediate, but for whatever your skills are, it's a consequence of your attitude, it's a consequence of your skills, it's a consequence of your choices. But if you say, I deserve this, please. But if you earned it, it will come to you.
Oh yeah. So how long do you think you should stay at a location before you make your next move? How long you should stay at a place before you make your next move?
I work for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I like that too. No, anybody. I like that. Anybody.
I'm saying after 2 years, I'm done with dental.
Nice. Yeah, so 2 years, man, you're out of there. Okay.
But I've gotten a lot of good field service experience.
Yeah.
Customer facing, diffusing the situation,
Yeah.
making everybody a better day by coming in and getting them operational again. So all those things are skills that I've learned from
Yeah.
the process.
Sweet.
To kind of elaborate on the 2 to 3 years, it's more along the lines of when you start feeling stagnant.
Yep.
And there is no potential for growth from your own development or within the organization. And that's when I would be more I'm gonna be loyal and I'm gonna work hard. But if I see that there's anything in the future, then we gotta make our next steps.
Yeah. I like that 2 to 3 year mark. That for me every year has been about 2 to 3 years where I make a move, whether it's internal, right, or external. I remember when I was a young man, Biomed, probably I'd say unit director 1. I had a really, really good regional management team. These cats were cool. They were communicable. They were, when I first got into the industry in 2001, most of the managers were a bunch of old dudes in corduroy coats that slept at their desk half the day, super uncool. I was like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So then I had this really, really good management team, and man, I wanted to be the regional guy so bad, right? So I chased, and many, many ups and downs, right? It chased and chased and chased, and I finally went to Phillips, and I finally got my opportunity. And at one point in time, I had 70 employees that went from Lubbock, Texas, to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, down to Miami. I probably had 19 accounts, and I was miserable. I hated every aspect of the job. I did HR. I did payroll, I did hiring, I did firing, and I got my butt chewed almost every other day by customers that were unhappy with their prices and unhappy with the service contracts that they signed, and all of these things that were out of my control. I was completely miserable. And so I said that to say, man, I sat in one seat thinking something, man, I thought these dudes, they would go to these shows and they would drink all night. And man, I wanted to be that, Ben. I wanted to be that. And then I realized, well, I don't drink that much, so I'm not that cool. I mean, I'll have a beer or two when I'm tired. So that ruled out, right? And then all of a sudden, I just didn't realize the pain of corporate management. And I also kind of woke up one day, and I was in that role for about a year. Although on my resume, I was with Philips for 7. But after that 1 year, man, I looked at my wife with tears in my eyes and said, I'll go do anything but this. I'll go back to get on my tool bag. You know what I mean? I'm just miserable. I just hate it. So if you're going up in your career, 2 to 3 years, but if you get in a spot where you're at the wrong, and it happens, guys. I had a guy tell me, a long career, you will have that. You will have times where you're miserable. I mean, for some of my old guys, Stephen, has there been years in your career where you just go, God, man, it's just not been fun? I mean, it happens, right? Has there been some years with Fluke? I mean, greatest test equipment company in the world, right?
That's why I got being a project manager. Nope, never again.
Okay.
Never again.
So you see, guys, there is a such thing of manage your career. Nobody's going to manage it for you. Listen, I'd let Ben manage my career. He's way better at it than I would, right? But manage your career.
Absolutely. And I love, and thank you all. You just taught me something, because one of the things I tell people that are starting in their career, that they're just getting in there and they're in that 3 to 6 month part, is I often tell them it's about 2 years, and I'll go 3, that's fine. But about 2 years, you're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna have, and there's a really good, and thank you for all being here, because there's a really good seminar just down the way on imposter syndrome. So thank you for being here, because that's awesome. But you're gonna feel that, like, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not, I don't know what I'm doing. So that first 1 to 2 years, when you get into a new job, a new position and something, I hope you feel that, because that means it's a challenge. If you get in something and you're like, I'm skating through this, you didn't pick the right position.
Yep.
That'd be like a senior tech taking an entry level or an intern. If you can do it that easy, you're bored. You need to find something else. If you're skating through it the first 6 months, you got something too easy. But it's that 2 years. So I like that you're saying 2 to 3 years to feel, you should feel challenged. You should feel a little uncomfortable. It takes about 2 to 3 years to go, okay, I know what to do here. I know what to do here. And then at that 2 to 3 year mark, have that conversation with you. It's like, do I love my job? Do I like my team? Do I do it? So if you, at that 2 to 3 year mark, and I thank you for saying that, because you gave me a new perspective to look at it, ask the question, now I'm comfortable with the job. Do I enjoy the job? Is it bringing value to me? Because we're not here just to earn money. That's so we can do everything else. But can we find the value? Can we find that passion to keep us staying there? Because right now, this is the cool part. Our industry is in a good place for us to go out and move and be we're not saturated with technicians. It's just the opposite. Everyone's retiring. So with that, do we want to be where we are? Do we like the work we're doing? Do we like the people we're working with? Because if not, it's a pain to call people. So one of the assignments I have my students is to call 3 places, talk to the manager, get their phone number, find their mission and their history. Every one of my students hates that assignment. I see some of my future students, and yeah, you're gonna have to do it. But I guarantee I have alumni go, thank you, this was the best assignments, because Everyone has had to cold call some vendor, cold call some customer, and do that. And having those conversations is a great skill. But having that conversation when you need a job, you're looking for a job, and hey, I'm applying for this. That's freaking nerve-wracking. But to have that in there and being able to do that is so useful. But being able to transition. Now, I love that Jamie put this up here. Because of this, let's look at the West Coast here. Entry-level technicians are just shy of 6 figures. On average, on the West Coast, 95,000.
What did you start out at, Ben?
I started at 65. No, wait. It was when I started in 2013, it was 60.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love seeing these numbers. When I started out, I was making a whopping $11 an hour in 2001. I was making big time money then. Man, I had a little bit of on call in there and maybe some overtime. But to see where it's come now, these numbers to me are just crazy. And here's one thing I like to look at. Look at the manager, 152. It takes years to get there. BMed 2, man, you can be there in 5 years. It's not that much difference. I mean, what, $40,000 maybe by the time you tax, you get a couple of tax brackets. It's not that much different from the manager sitting there piled up in paperwork all day, going to all these meetings all day from a BMed 2. So 5 years into the industry, you guys can be making a lot of money.
So the professor me wants to ask a question.
Okay.
To the class. Why is the Tech 3 less than the Tech 2? Yes.
The Tech 3 is typically a senior biomed. It's also doing more administrative work than necessarily technical work.
I like it. Any other ideas? Yeah.
And less overtime.
So overtime, I like that answer. Overtime is a separate category. This is from the 24/7 magazine. So overtime is a separate category. This is just base pay, but I like your thinking. In the back there. Yeah.
BMed 3s are usually the guys who have been in the field for a long time. They're usually the ones who stayed at the same facility the entire time. So their change in salary is not as much because when you jump to a new spot,
Yep.
you get hired.
That's a little bit of it. Yes.
Spot on.
Okay. The other thing, any other ideas? For that reason, and most of them have retired. So a lot of these have just migrated from Tech 2 to Tech 3. So this is the entry-level field range for Tech 3. Most of them have recently retired. So this is the full range of Tech 2, where the senior level Tech 3s have retired and taken themselves out, so the average has gone down. So if we looked at last year's, this went up like that. But because of so many people have retired, the upper pay scale, upper pay range for Tech 3 has been taken out because they've retired and they haven't backfilled. Last year, the scale did not include Tech 1. There wasn't enough people filling out the survey because they didn't have enough Tech 1s to fill it out. So it was just Tech 2 and Tech 3. Now the opposite, so many of the Tech 3s have retired. We had to hire so many Tech 3 or Tech 1s that we're getting the accurate of what the entry level value is. So
who gets to change that BMed 3 status? That's right, everybody in this room. That sweet spot's that 2, right? Get your skill, be good at what you do, right? I always use the joke, I know Ben's an IT guy. If you don't like doing PMs and you don't like being on your feet, you go to IT. I know it's a bad joke, but.
No, I mean, it's not wrong. And I mean, if you really don't want to do that, go teach.
But look at that BMed 2. We had 10% in longevity. Everybody else is in that 1 to 3 range. I mean, you guys are sitting in that sweet spot. to drive the nice cars, to get and that's not your overtime. That's typically the BMET 2 guy is the one that's just getting into the overtime, just getting into the on-call, just getting into special projects. And man, there's all kind of special projects in a hospital, right? So that I truly see that BMET 2. Now we get to start. And another thing is, I've been in corporate America for probably, oh man, I've never been an in-house guy. As being in corporate America, you live and die by the PPM. That is your personal performance management, your annual appraisal by your manager. You live and die by that. One of the reasons why you see that BMET 3 is typically, and listen, I'm not throwing stones on any of the in-house stuff, but the guy that stayed in that in-house program for year after year, he probably got 1%. The in-house guys a lot of times are overlooked in a hospital, whereas the ISOs, they value them because you make the money for the contract, right? If I sign a contract with you, Richard, and I don't do my job, you're gonna throw me out, right? But if I sign a contract with you, I have to rely on my people to do the work. You live and die by the PPM. So if you get your first job and your manager, and don't expect, listen, I've had hundreds of new biomeds. Well, I think I'm a 5. Well, you're not. Let me go ahead and hurt your feelings now. I'll take that credit. Nobody in this room is a 5 in 3 years experience. You got to shoot for that. I'm better than average, but I'm not great yet. You know what I mean? And that's that sweet spot. I'm better than average. I can do all these people's jobs. I can learn more, do more, walk more, do more PMs, you name it. But you're going to live and die by somebody else doing your appraisal, and you have to put that in your toolkit. You don't have to kiss the manager's butt, but you have to be a part of the team. I have seen so many biomed guys just be so grainy and go against the grain, and you name it, and it just doesn't work. So as you advance your career from that 2, from that 3, really, there's not much benefit from the 3 to the manager. Listen, that manager, that's a lonely spot. I'd let them stay there for a little while. I'm here to tell you it's not all that great, but you can be great at it, right? I told one of my managers, he looked at me, he said, well, I was an area service manager for TriMedics, and I had 7 accounts. I said, well, that doesn't mean you was good at it. I said, well, you're struggling with 1 account. How did you do good at 7, right? And it hurt his feelings, but it's the truth. It's the truth. I know plenty of managers that probably make $140,000, $150,000 a year. They're terrible. Their employees don't like them. They're grainy. They sit in their office all day. That's old school, guys. You're not going to go anywhere anymore. But you're going to see that. You're going to see that in this industry. You're going to see the elephant in the room, Ben. You're gonna have the guy that sits at his desk all day long. He's the BMET 3. Don't do nothing. I promise you. I've seen them all. Right? Don't worry about it. Just step over them. You own your career. Step over them, get your money. You live and die by the PPM. You live and die by the person that writes your evaluation. Understand what your job is. Half of the battle in biomed is how many have you looked at? How do you know how to do that? Well, I don't know. It's like, well, how do you know you're supposed to be doing that? I don't know. Well, listen, we live in a world of I don't knows. So I tell everybody, especially on the quality and regulatory side, but on the management side, you have to know what you're doing. I've hired so many people, I say, talk to me about doing a defibrillator PM. And they jam up. We do the outputs, and I don't really have a manual right now. Well, if you've done 1 defibrillator, if you've been in the field for 5 years, what are they, semi-annual? They used to be quarterly in my day, so you did every defibrillator in the hospital quarterly. Now it's semi-annual. So at a minimum, you've done probably 25 to 40 defibrillator PMs. If you cannot tell me that they're doing outputs, cardio synchronization, pacer, vital signs, battery, and charge time, then you haven't done your 40 PMs. Know what you're doing. Because when it comes to documentation, you own that. That is your record. I've been in 2 cases where there was a lawyer involved and patients, and it all went down to documentation. So great documentation is what gets you from the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the manager and to somewhere like Parsons over there, mastermind in medical equipment, or somebody like a professor, or whatever. You have to learn what your job role is. If you just are going out there running around doing what this knucklehead beside you did, then it's no good, no good. You're not going to get a great evaluation. You have to know what you're doing. And part of that is applying yourself. Tons of biomeds, especially in the in-house world. I'm sorry if you're in-house. I'm not picking on you, but I see it more in the in-house. Everybody sits at their desk, they're typing away. I was an auditor for many years. I walk in there and go, tell me about your medical equipment management plan. What is your goal and where are you currently sitting with our goals? And he looks at me and goes, I don't know, ask him. You know, medical equipment management plan is what you live and die by. You got to know that as a biomed. We are not just a break-fix society. There's quality, regulatory, patient care, there's health care, there's rules, there's regs, there's preventive maintenance procedures, there's Joint Commission, there's DNV, there's all of that. That's what represents our organization, right, Ben?
Absolutely. One of the things I really like that you're saying is we don't just fix things anymore. And one of the things I tell my students is exactly that, is we don't fix things anymore. We solve problems. How many times have you, especially for those that have been in the industry for more than 5 years, has the problem been a settings issue, a training issue, or something other? I see some smiles. Something other than the thing is actually broken.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that someone had a misunderstanding, set it up wrong, or the training was not done at all. But the thing was doing what it was supposed to be doing because someone set it up that way. Show of hands. Yeah, like you mean it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that's just it. There was nothing to be fixed. It was a misunderstanding. It was a training issue. We're there to solve problems. We're not there to fix things anymore. Sometimes we have to fix it, but we're there to solve problems.
My favorite slide. Look at how many CBETs do we have in the room? Sweet.
That's better.
Yeah, that is way better. That's what I'm talking about. And the reason I say that, again, as a hiring manager, I was area service manager, 70 employees, probably 20 open positions. I would tell my recruiter, CBET's pile go to the left, everybody else to the right. If that doesn't wake you up, as a hiring manager for Philips Healthcare, I said CBET's to the left, everybody else to the right. You know what the left pile was? That's the ones that got the interview. Did it mean they were any better than the ones on the right? I probably hired some bad CBETs. But as a hiring manager, that's what you have in your pocket. My manager used to tell me all the time, you know, I started the industry when it was just a 2-year degree. Most of us didn't have beautiful North Seattle College and a Ben Roberts to teach the biomed curriculum. Me, it was just electronics. I went and said, hey, I want to do biomed. They'd say, hey, sorry, we just quit that curriculum about a year ago. All right, well, I'll do electronics. You got it. Boom, I learned everything else. I said that to say, get your CBET. Yes, it's a hard test. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, you have to study. Yes, I failed it the first time. But if I can do it, anybody can. I have all the letters, the dyslexia and ADHD and things go backwards and forwards, but I'll never forget this. It's a true story, guys. I took the last paper test and the first electronic test. I was devastated when I failed the test. Devastated. First time I ever saw the CBET initial, Ben, listen to this. I asked my manager, I said, what does that mean? Just got hired, right? I was so excited. He goes, oh, that's something you'll never be able to do.
Wait,
Dang,
what?
Swear to God. True story. So then we found, CBET used to have this little study curriculum, like that 5 little, y'all remember that? Like many, many years ago, like 5 practice tests you'd go in there. I failed every one of them. I was like, that dude is right. You know, I'm never going to be able to pass this test. And then I got another manager, and he kept saying, Jamie, I want you to do it. It shows dedication to your profession. So I said, okay, took the cabinet. I was good. I felt good about it. I failed it. I come home. I thought I failed it by 40 points at least. I was lost. I was totally lost. And I remember getting the results. I missed it by like 5 points. Dude, I could have put C on a couple of them. You know what I mean? Like I was that close. My wife signed me up. Did not tell me. She says, by the way, I signed you up for your CBET. I want you to go take it. And I says, well, I guess because the way Crawford worked, they paid for it the first go around, second go around, you're on you. So I came up my little $375, paid for my test, and I passed it that second. That lit a fire in me where I built a CBET study group test for a curriculum, and I passed 55 people in 2 years. That's how much it means to me. I said that in the hiring manager world, that carries weight. Get your CBET. Get your CBET. Anybody can do it. Does it make you a better technician? I've heard that 100 times. Anybody heard that? Oh, CBET doesn't make you a better technician. Have you heard that, Ben?
I heard it. I don't believe it.
I don't either. Because the first thing I said, well, tell me about an SpO2. Well, you put it on your finger, it shows your meter. No. It has a red light and an infrared light with a detector at the bottom. It goes through the blood. It stops through the blood. The potential difference is called oximetry. I learned that studying for the CBET. If you don't know that, that means I'm a better technician than you. Something as simple as a pulse oximeter. Study it, apply yourself, and if you fail, if you get anything out of this class, if you fail, don't worry about it. The pass rate on it the first time is not that good.
40%.
40%. 40%. Listen, I remember a dude beside me, he was so excited. I was nervous, my hands was shaking. And he looks at me, he said, hey man, you excited? He goes, this is my 5th time taking it. I was thinking, oh my God. I swear, I was like, oh my God. And I swear, y'all, this is a true story. I get the test and I was like, you know, looking at his, damn, this ain't right. I don't know all this. There is not one question that I really feel familiar with. And I remember my manager down, he raised his hand, he said, man, this ain't the right test. And I was thinking that same too. I mean, it was rough. It was a rough test. Study, apply yourself if I can do it. But it means you are dedicated to the biomed profession.
You said something I want to study groups. If you haven't done your CBET, get in a study group. I guarantee you are going to be more successful if you study in a study group.
Yep.
You know, when I did it, I did a study group, and the people that did it, everyone that was in the study group passed. Only about 10% that didn't do the study group passed. Get into a study group if you haven't done the CBET yet. If you have your CBET, please do your continuing education units. Do not let it lapse and have to take it again.
That's right.
Please. So thank you for being here. Take this. This counts towards your CEUs.
Yeah, every time. Every time.
One of those practice test questions has a citation. Find the book, figure out where your weak points are, and study those. If it's anatomy and physiology, hammer anatomy and physiology.
Yep.
If it's the electronics basics, hammer the electronics basics. But find those references, utilize those, because most of the study books are free.
Yeah.
You can find them online everywhere, and you can zero in. I mean, if you dedicate yourself to that, you can zero in on that test.
Yeah.
Forget the software too.
Yeah.
That's what I meant about the study.
Look at the answers that are wrong, because the test, they'll change the answer, one of the wrong answers will be the right answer.
Yeah.
But if you
Just
take enough of those
go over
practice-
that until you memorize.
Yep, and if you take enough of those practice test exams, they're all the same questions on the test.
Yeah.
You can change which is the wrong answer for the practice could be the right answer on the real test.
Right.
What software?
Good advice.
It's Amy. Amy.
Yeah. There's a lot of tools out there now that they didn't have in 2012 and prior to. CABMET, they were the first ones.
Thank
But
you,
anyway,
Doug.
guys,
Really good advice.
we've reached time. I want to thank my buddy, Ben Roberts. He's just an inspiration. Thanks everybody for joining, and listen, keep testing. Thanks everybody. You can go to Fluke Biomedical. If anybody got any questions for me, Ben Roberts, you can look for me on Fluke Biomedical. You can't miss me. Shoot me an email, shoot me a question. I do this all day, every day. So listen, anything you need from us, guys, just let us know. Thanks, everybody.
Please join me and Steve's think tank.
And hang around. If you got any questions, we'll hang out for a little while. I just want to make sure if you got anywhere else that you need to go, you can go do that now. If you want to hang out for a little bit, no big deal.